Welcome to Wheel of Time Season 3. Yes! In this episode, I'm going to run over the basic arcs we see being set up. I'll do a series of shorter videos as well that run on themes for all our major characters as well, and I hope to do episodes 2 and 3 in the same way. Let's dig in. We've already seen most of the cold open, where we learned that Liandrin's back in the tower accuses Swan of knowingly letting Rand go. Interesting, isn't it, that she doesn't mention Lanfear? Also, the way she turns all the blame onto Swan. Nynaeve comes in to testify but doesn't even open her mouth, and I loved the way simply the presence of Nynaeve was enough to put Liandrin in a position of thinking, shit, sink or swim, and does she paddle hard. The cold open ends with Alanna facing Liandrin in the streets. Liandrin has 6 other Black Sisters with her, and we can identify Chesmore fucking Emery, Jane, Ispan, Naomi, and Liandrin. Joya was knocked out up in the hall, and I think the green there is likely to be Asney, but I'm at a loss with the red because I'm going by the list of Black Sisters that left the tower with Liandrin in the books. Galena is in the tower, and she spoke to Liandrin outside the hall but has remained undeclared as a Black Arjug. But remember, she told Liandrin before she went into the hall that they will be supporting her. When she arrives at the hall, she tells Maxim and Ivan to let her in, and they refuse. Then Jane and Chesmel arrive, and Jane knocks her aside with a weave. So what does that mean? See, we know that most Black Sisters have no idea who the other Black Sisters are. Liandrin knew of more than most, and this heist brought 13 together in the books in a way that's not happened before. So it seems to me, by what I saw, that Liandrin had plotted much of this with the other Black Sisters, but they may not have known who else was involved until it all happened. I'm really looking forward to finding out, because I think that a lot of people, both watching and characters, will be surprised to discover that there are lots more hidden Blacks that didn't join in on this blatant attack. Now, of course, this red sister might be a whole new character like Naomi, or maybe they don't need to be named, as only 5 of these 7 make it out this episode, and they are the ones that we know. So let's jump back to the fight in the streets where it left off for what we had seen so far, with Alanna facing 7 sisters. You can see the expressions on their faces that they look at Alanna. They are really looking forward to some hurt giving. Maxim and Ivan show their ability with their swords, racing in after that first attack by Alanna and ramming them through as many as possible. I could not believe we got 2 swords right through Liandrin's back and out her chest. They are prevented from the off with her head finale by Jane channeling to stop them, and it looks so effective until Alanna gives a big whoof and everyone falls down. Throughout the episode, I was struck by how much violence and stabbing there was, and how quickly the yellows in particular were jumping in and healing people. It really kept things hooting along. There was such a feeling of battlefield medics rushing in, except of course that these medics were fighting as well. Then Moiraine saves Swan, and how beautiful is that? But the incredibly aggressive attack strategies of these Black Sisters, just ripping women's minds apart. The weaves this season looking amazing, the use of shields and power weapons. I mean, no wonder the 3 oaths are in place. Power weapons are terrifying. But I don't actually agree with having the 3 oaths, don't get me wrong, but you can see why the Aes Sedai are feared with what they can actually choose to do with this power. The final outcome for this episode is that Ivan is killed, which is going to be huge going forward for both Alanna and Maxim. 2 of the Black Sisters with Liandrin are killed while the rest escape. Joya wasn't even with them and is defeated by Swan, and we know from what we've seen in the trailer that she'll be held captive. I'm guessing the same will go for the yellow black sister with her, and I don't know who that is yet. I couldn't puzzle that one out. So the overall setup of plots for our Two Rivers 5 in episode 1 and where that's going to take them for the season. They've all come to Tarvalon together. I can't figure out what route they took, as they say they were on a ship for a month, but I think they were travelling for more than a month all up, because I don't believe that they sailed to Tyr and then sailed upriver. So maybe someone can point me to any of the smart content creators that can work that map out for me. They plan to head to Tyr now, so I can't see that they came from Tyr. But if they did part of it overland, then it's possible they were only on the ship for a month. Moiraine says that she's going into the city when she leaves them at the inn early in the episode, so I think that one can presume that this inn they're staying in is not that close to the White Tower. Yes, we can see Dragon Mount and the tower, but I think they're supposed to be basically visible from anywhere in Tarvalon. We can also see some natural friendships and attractions have been forming. Chiad is attracted to Mat, Avidendha to Elayne, Nynaaeve and Lan have continued their relationship and are looking really comfortable together. Rand and Egwene have stayed together even though she has shocking PTSD and his wound is not healing well at all. We have no idea what Min did after Falm yet, and she doesn't appear to be with them, so I can't wait to see her again. Moiraine seems to think that she has them all doing what she says, and I guess all stuck on a ship together. That was a fair presumption until now. Now that they're in Tarvalon, I can only guess that Nynaeve has filled them in on the hall fight, and they are starting to think about what is the next best step for each of them. Egwene has a decidedly Min look in her clothing, and I talk about that in a separate episode. It suits her so well, but it also has a look of practical clothing that she can fight in. It's like she isn't going to get caught running about in long skirts again, thank you very much. Elayne looks drop-dead gorgeous in her soft style of clothing, and those patches of autumn colours that match her hair and give a feeling of flowing grace are just delightful. Moiraine gives some instructions, but she already knows they're going to ignore her, so my question is, if she really felt that they needed to stay hidden and that it's that dangerous, why does she have them there at all, and why does she just shrug off knowing that they'll go out and leave them to it? Something tells me there is more than meets the eye. It feels a bit weird too that she warns them so sternly, and the moment she's gone the boys go skipping off, but it is very in character for their natures. Mat also seems to be tempting fate as much as he can. Maybe that's a bit of a PTSD response to all that's happened with him so far. Mat and that horn are so on point, but where does he keep that thing? I'm guessing in that man bag that he's carrying, but I just loved and screamed at the sketch of Rand fighting Ishi in the sky. I'm going to do another whole episode just on Easter eggs that I've seen. Parents' eyes are permanently golden, and maybe they are just hiding in plain sight, really. Playing snakes and foxes, and Mat wanting to find comfort in the arms of Ginger Lady. Lanfear arrives in town, and what a shock that Moiraine would work with her. I'll talk about that in depth in a Moiraine episode. Rand and Avidendha are not getting along, and I think it works really well and is setting up how things will unfold later. On my first watch, I just could not believe that Moiraine and Lan weren't reacting to the bubble of Lanfear. The differences from the books can be confusing unless you think about what we see this season in context with what we saw and what has happened to each of the other characters in previous seasons. This really comes through when we see Egwene talking with Swan and making demands. I mean demands, and they're accepted by Swan. I love the fact that we now see Alviarin as we go into Egwene's testing. She was in the hall in the cold open, and she did not stand up for Liandrin when the fight broke out. Therefore, Swan obviously trusts her. In fact, there are several more to come. Rand has told Egwene all about his experiences while they were on the boat, so she does not trust Swan for even a moment. Swan gives her an ultimatum, but Egwene still manages to respond to it on her own terms. Egwene's test shows us only a little more than we had seen in the trailer, so here we just want to note that she passes the test and then says, "Fuck you very much and goodbye for now." It follows quite closely to some of what happened in the little we know of the book account of her testing. Not her saying fuck you and leaving afterwards, of course. But what a measure of desperation that Swan must be feeling that she even allows Egwene to give her the condition for returning to the tower. Remember, Swan was nearly killed by Lanfear last season. She got back to Tarvalon and probably thought she'd gotten away with the debacle. Next thing, Liandrin's doing her grandstanding to pull her down. She shows her that she has the proof, but the next thing, the Black Arger are everywhere and she's nearly dead. Get some healing, down to the streets, nearly dead again. The last battle's coming. Forsaken or loose, the Black Arger are more real than anyone could have dreamed. Yep, desperate times call for desperate measures, and it really resonates for me on what it is like in war, putting young people into amazing situations out of desperation. Elayne sends 2 letters and I died laughing. They're so much better than the 2 that she sent in the book, and we watch her relationship with Avidendha begin to blossom. Loial can read the old tongue, but Rand can recite the prophecies anyway, and we get political discussions with Elayne that are on point. I really like the more mature way they're developing the relationships here for Rand with Avidendha, Elayne and Egwene. Nicely done. Will we see Elayne go through the rings next episode, or maybe we'll just hear that she did it? Either works well enough for me, really, because it's on point with the books, and Elayne not only makes great hooch, but she can hold her liquor better than most. That just cracks me up. Perrin looks the least comfortable about being here, I feel. We don't get to see much about him in this episode, so I'm filling in the gaps with my own thoughts here. He is still grieving. Losing Hopper was piled on top of the grief of losing Layla. He has struggled with violence through both previous seasons. He knows that he goes into a rage when he's in a violent situation, and Matt does call him the brooding blacksmith. He tells Rand he's not a leader, like he is. Ha ha. He says Rand has made the right choice, and Rand realises that he's going to be leaving. The bubbles of Lanfear see the axe come to life and attack him, but loyal Bane and Chiad are at risk too, and he barely escapes, and the axe breaks his wedding ring in half. Rand seems just a part of the group early in the episode, but things soon begin to take him on his path. Lanfear wanted to get rid of the others, and she managed that, well, except for Egwene and Avidendha. But Rand has decided that he is going to do what he decides and what is least expected. That isn't what she wanted. Uh-oh. I love the way he stands up to Moiraine. She has been pushing him towards Tyr, and while he wants to go home, he never said to her that he intends to go there. What he wants and what he plans are quite different things, and he isn't going to let Moiraine tell him what to do. The bubble of Lanfear sees him battling his reflections that look like they would have continued multiplying had he not smashed those mirrors. He seems to walk out of there completely determined to take that path he's chosen. Nynaeve is coming to terms with her block and says she will go back to the tower to learn more. Matt wants to stay with her as he believes she's the only one that can help him. Her inability to heal Elayne or help in the battle at Falme has been eroding her confidence yet more. She is still happy to stand up to Swan, even when she is laying everything on the line as she sees it. Beautiful talk with Lan about giving up things for others, and Lan sees right through to the heart as usual. When the bubble hits, we find out after it that Lan had set a condition for Lanfear about leaving Nynaeve alone. She is attacked and stabbed 11 times, and we find out that it's a grey man. Did Moghedien send him after any of them, or after Nynaeve specifically? How would she know Nynaeve? Well, whatever the case, which I think we'll probably find out, it will certainly give Nynaeve a cause to be after Moghedien. I love how we ended last season with meeting Moghedien for the first time, and this first episode ends with her creating a new Greyman to replace the one that was killed from Joachim Carradine. He was kind of a bit of a throwaway character in the book, so maybe he'll get a better part and skulk about assassinating through the seasons. I actually have a theory that they may well blend the Grey Man with the Golem. The Grey Man that attacked Nynaeve looks like someone you would definitely notice without his hood. If we see him disappear through a hole in the wall, I guess we'll know. Moghedien is definitely insane, which makes her so much more terrifying. So, who is she sending Carradine after? So to quickly recap and end this off, we end episode 1 with Rand, Egwene, Avidendha, Moiraine and Lan heading to the waste, Nynaeve, Matt and Elayne heading to the tower, Perrin, Loial, Bane and Chiad heading to the Two Rivers, Lanfear stepping out of thin air and could turn up anywhere, Moghedien in the shadows creating assassins. So now, on to episode 2. How delicious is this feast of time, time, time.